Okay, I'm going to try to make this video as quick as I can, but it might be a little bit longer today since we're doing an entire study guide. First question, how many solutions does the graph of the parabola have? So remember, solutions are where the parabola crosses the x-axis. This parabola doesn't cross the x-axis at all, so that means that there's no solutions. Graph y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. What are the solutions to the equation? This is the parabola. We're going to start off with doing x equals negative b over 2a to find the vertex. So x equals negative b is positive 2 over 2 times 1. So x equals 2 over 2, which is 1. I'm going to plug back in. Y equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 3. Y equals 1 minus 2 minus 3. Y equals negative 1 minus 3, which is negative 4. So our vertex is 1, negative 4. You can plot that on your graph. 1, 2, 3, right there. Since a is 1, it follows our pattern up 1 over 1, up 1, 2, 3 over 1. You can go up 5 over 1 if you want, but you don't have to. I'm fine with just this many points. Connect the dots. There we go. Okay, for this one, what are the solutions? It's already factored, so we just set both factors equal to 0. So we set x plus 4 equal to 0, and we should set 3x minus 5 equals 0. Subtract 4, x equals negative 4. Add 5, 3x equals 5. Divide by 3, x equals 5/3. Okay, next, find the solutions to the equation by factoring. Okay, so we're going to factor this. What two numbers multiply to negative 16 and add to 6? That would be negative 2 and positive 8. Set both factors equal to 0. Add 2, x equals 2. Subtract 8, x equals negative 8. Okay, moving on. All right, so find the solutions to the equation by factoring. So for this, our leading coefficient is not 1. So to factor this, we have to slide and divide. So I'm going to take this 5, I'm going to slide it over here and multiply. X squared plus 2x minus 15 equals 0. We're now going to factor. What two numbers multiply to negative 15 and add to 2? That would be positive 5 and negative 3. Now, a lot of you are forgetting to divide. Some of you are just setting the factors equal to 0 now. You can't do that. You have to divide by what we originally slid by, which was 5. So now you should be here. This comes up. This one is just going to become x plus 1. So you should have 5x minus 3 and x plus 1. Set both factors equal to 0. Add 3, 5x equals 3. Divide by 5, x equals 3/5. Subtract 1, x equals negative 1. Next problem, simplify the radical. So we have to figure out what perfect square goes into 63. That would be 9. So we can simplify this to 2. Radical 9 times 7 times x to the 4th. The square root of 9 is 3, so that's going to come out and get multiplied by what's in front. So 3 times 2 is 6. So now we're here. Now remember, we take our exponent and we divide by 2, and that gets us 2. So that means 2 x's are coming out. There's nothing left under the radical. So it should be 6x squared radical 7. Next, there's a couple of different ways we could do this. First, what I like to do is I like to put everything under one radical. So let's first multiply the whole numbers. 3 times 2 is 6. Then we have 4 times 12 times x squared, and x to the 5th make x to the 7th. We can actually combine this to 48. We don't have to break it up. You could break this down into 4 times 3. Then you'd have 2 4s to work with, or you could just multiply it and say this is 48. 48, I can think of that as 16 times 3. The square root of 16 is 4, so that's going to come out and get multiplied by that 6 in front. So now we have 24 radical 3x to the 7th. Remember, we're going to take our exponent and divide it by 2, which is 3.5. That means that 3 x's are coming out. There's 1 left underneath the radical. So 24 x cubed radical 3 x. Okay, next one, solve the quadratic equation. First step, we're going to add 8, 4x squared equals 100. Divide by 4, x squared equals 25. Take the square root of both sides. X equals plus or minus 5. So positive 5 and negative 5. Next, solve the quadratic equation. Well, if you try to take the square root of both sides here, you're going to get an imaginary number because you can't take the square root of a negative. So you just say no real solutions. For this one, 2x squared plus x squared equals 90. 2x squared plus x squared is 3x squared equals 90. Divide by 3, x squared equals 30. Square root both sides. X equals plus or minus radical 30. There's nothing we can do to simplify that. Okay, next problem. This is a little bit more complex, this one. We're going to have to use Pythagorean theorem. So solve for x, then find the side lengths of the triangle. Remember that Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I'm going to say that 8 is a, I'm going to say x is b, and I'm going to say this is c. So now it's 8 squared plus x squared equals x plus 2 squared. Well, 8 squared is 64 plus x squared equals, this we have to FOIL out, we have to expand it, and then we have to FOIL to figure out what that is. So now we have 64 plus x squared equals x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4. So now we have 64 plus x squared equals x squared plus 4x plus 4. These x squareds are going to cancel out with each other. And I can subtract 4 over here. So now we have 60 equals 4x. Divide by 4, x equals 15. Now you might think you're done, but you're not, because it said to solve for x, which we did, but then it says to find the side lengths of the triangle, so we need to plug in 15 back in to these two lengths here. We know that one side length is 8. If x is 15, this side is 15. And then this side would be 15 plus 2, which would be 17. Okay, next one. Complete the square to find solutions of the following equation. When we complete the square, our leading coefficient has to be 1. Right now it's not. Right now our leading coefficient is 3. That's a problem. But we can divide through by that leading coefficient, and we'll get x squared plus 14x plus 15 equals 0. Remember, with completing the square, we have to move over our constant term. So we're going to subtract 15, x squared plus 14x equals negative 15. We're going to take half of the middle term and square it and then add that number to both sides. So half of 14 is 7, and 7 squared is 49. So we're going to add 49, add 49. That gets us to x squared plus 14x plus 49 equals 34. Factor this side to x plus 7 squared equals 34. Take the square root of both sides. X plus 7 equals plus or minus radical 34. Subtract 7, x equals negative 7 plus radical 34, and x equals negative 7 minus radical 34. Those are the two solutions. Okay, next, write the function x squared plus 6x plus 25 in vertex form. So the first thing you need to do is you need to move over your constant term. Subtract 25, subtract 25. Now we have y minus 25 equals x squared plus 6x. Take half of your b and square it. So half of 6 is 3. Squared is 9. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. That becomes y minus 16 equals x squared plus 6x plus 9. We're going to factor this side. X plus 3 squared. Take the square, so we don't have to take the square root of both sides. Because we're getting this into vertex form, we need to solve for y. So we're just going to add 16 on both sides, and we get y equals x plus 3 squared plus 16. Because remember, we're just getting that into vertex form. Okay, next one, quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula is x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Shouldn't really be extending that line all the way over there. There we go. Okay, so let's plug in everything. So x equals the opposite of b is positive 5. Plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4 times a, which is 4, times c, which is 1, all over 2 times 4. So now it's x equals 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 16 over 8. And now it is x equals 5 plus or minus 25 minus 16 is 9. running out of room here. Okay, so now it is x equals 5 plus or minus 3 over 8. So x equals 5 plus 3 over 8. So x equals 8 over 8, which is 1. Then your other solution, x equals 5 minus 3 over 8. So x equals 2 over 8. So x equals 1/4 if you reduce that. Okay, so those are your two solutions. Next, moving on to problem 15. This is matching. Match each equation to the number of solutions by finding the discriminant. So remember, the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So plugging in, b squared is, so 5 squared minus 4 times a times c. So we have 25 minus 4 times 2 is 8 times 8 is 64, which is negative 39. That is going to, that's a negative number, so when there's a negative number, that means that there's no solution or no real roots. For this one, b squared, so 14 squared minus 4ac, that's 196, minus 4 times 7 is 28, times 7 is 196. So 0, so that means that there's one real root. And then for this one, b squared, so negative 8 squared minus 4ac. So 64 minus 12 times 2 is 24, which equals 40. So that number is greater than 0, so that means that we have two real roots. Okay, for this, solve the system by graphing. Okay, we're going to start off with, we can graph, I guess we'll graph our parabola first. This is a parabola moved up 1. So up 1 over 1, up 1, 2, 3 over 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. Same thing on the other side. Just like that. Y equals 3. So 1, 2, 3. Horizontal line. For this one, it doesn't say what are the solutions. It says how many solutions does the system have. So you would say 2 solutions. Okay, next, solve the system by substitution. Okay, so for substitution, we're going to take 5 minus 2x and plug it in here. So 5 minus 2x equals x squared plus 8x plus 30. Remember, it's good to keep that x squared term positive, so let's move everything on this side over here. So we're going to subtract 5 and add 2x. Subtract 5, add 2x. So now we have 0 equals x squared plus 10x plus 25. Now we can factor this. 0 equals, what two numbers multiply to 25 and add to 10? That would be positive 5, positive 5. So we're going to have just one solution here because that is obviously the same thing. So x plus 5 equals 0, minus 5, x equals negative 5. Plug x equals negative 5 back into this equation. So y equals 5 minus 2 times negative 5. Y equals 5 plus 10. Y equals 15. So our solution is negative 5. That was our x value. Y value 15. Okay, last but not least, we're solving by elimination. When we solve by elimination, we have to cancel out our y variable. I'm going to multiply this equation by negative 1 to do that. Distribute through. So now we have y equals negative x squared plus 4x plus 2. Y equals negative 2 plus x. Okay, so now this cancels out. We have 0 equals negative x squared plus 5x. We're going to factor out negative x. If you can factor out a negative, factor out a negative. So then we're left with x minus 5. We're going to set both factors equal to 0. Negative x equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. Divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1, x equals 0. And for this one, add 5, x equals 5. Now we have to plug back in to our linear equation. So y equals 2 minus 0, so y equals 2. So one of the solutions is 0, 2. And then the other solution is y equals 2 minus 5. So y equals negative 3. So 5, negative 3 is your other solution. And that is it. All right, have a great day. Study up for your test on Monday. You can use your study guide though, so as long as you understand the problems, you will be totally fine. Have a good day. Bye.